Hey everybody, this is Doomhammer with another 32-team franchise quarterback review of the past 14 seasons. So we're going to go over the Houston Texans starting quarterbacks in this 32-team franchise. Let's get started. So David Carr, unlike in real life, I actually got him Rookie of the Year and a Super Bowl victory. The Super Bowl victory in his second season with the Texans. He went 52-64 with them from 2002 to 2008, which was a great career actually. And he's actually one of the probably Texans legends, delivering a Super Bowl so quickly to an expansion team. He then joined the AFC South rival Jacksonville Jaguars, so he got ditched for a different quarterback and ended up deciding to go to the rival. He went 24-27. So if you saw the Jaguars video, you'll see his stats there. And then he was 1 year with the 2 years with the Raiders and one start where he went 0-1, and he did retire shortly after. We look at his Texan stats versus his rest of the franchise, and most of his stats are with the Texans: 25,400 passing yards, 238 TDs, 114 interceptions. He did rush for over 1,000 yards in his career as a Texan, and then 12 touchdowns. Compare that with his real life, and you can see very clearly he had a better franchise in my franchise than in real life. He is a Texans legend. Then after him was David Garrard, and it was kind of weird because David Garrard was with the Jaguars from 2002 to 2005, left for Seattle. And during that same time frame, David Carr was with the Texans. And then David Carr left for Jacksonville. And then the Texans were like, well, fine, you take him, and we're going to bring David Garrard to our team. And that's where he went 13-21. So a lot of AFC South quarterback swapping during this franchise. We see David Garrard with most of his stats coming from Jacksonville, but 22,000 yards, 200 touchdowns exact, 105 interceptions, 45 rushing yards, and 25 rushing touchdowns. We compare that with his real career, and you can very easily see that he had a better better career in my franchise than in real life. And so very proud of making David Garrard a pretty reliable starter for most of his career. Then they had Jake Locker. He went 9-14 in 2 seasons. And in real life, it only took like 2 seasons, and then Jake Locker just gave up on the NFL, gave up on football. So I kind of did the same thing with him. So once he proved to be not the guy, I just sort of wrapped up his career. So we look at, he only played for the Texans, so 3,900 yards, 35 touchdowns, 31 interceptions. We compare that to real life, and surprisingly, he had more, almost a whole 1,000 yards more in his real life than my franchise. I had more touchdowns with him. I also threw more picks. He rushed more in real life than he did in my franchise when he went to the Titans in real life. But we had the same number of rushing touchdowns. But the Jake Locker era was not going to be long-lived, and it's evident with only a 2-year stint in Houston. Then after that, we have Tavares Jackson. So he started out with the Seattle Seahawks, going 25-17. It was actually him and David Garrard who was fighting for that starting job. Garrard took him to the playoffs his first season, which is why he got the start to the next season. But then Jackson very quickly started to take the helm and then was the quarterback for multiple years. He went to the Bengals for 2 years and went 11-16. The Bengals decided they wanted something different. I think that 2011 season, trying to remember if that was Osweiler or what made them move on. But I guess we'll watch the Bengals video to see that. He went 8-3 as the Texans starter in 2012. But they didn't keep him. I think what it was is he didn't come back. I think the Texans were willing to bring him back, and he didn't want to come. And then we have another interdivision quarterback swap, and Jackson went to the Titans, where he signed a 4-year big contract, and he's 18-16. He did well his first year with them, and then he had a really bad second year. And this third year, he started off really poor. I think he's sort of balanced the ship a little bit. But he is still currently their starting quarterback, which the Titans are kind of looking to upgrade, but he's their guy for the meantime. He had a 22,000 passing yard career so far, and only 2,000 pass yards were from Houston. Only played 11 starts with them, but you can see most of his career, most of it was with the Seahawks, then you look at the Bengals, and then the Titans. So pretty solid career for him in my franchise. We compare that to his real life, where he was mostly a backup. I think he was drafted to the Minnesota Vikings. He also did play for the Seattle Seahawks in real life. But he wasn't drafted there like he was in my franchise. But every stat, I blow him out of the water in real life. So his franchise with me was a lot better than his career. Then we've got the current quarterback of the Texans, Sanchez, or not. I guess he's not the starting quarterback right now. They did move on from him, but he's still on the team. He's right now the backup behind Michael Vick. But he was with the Chicago Bears, and the Bears had some quarterback challenges, and still kind of do. So he was 24-27. Then he went to Houston, where he was 14-19. We see his stats there. He had 16,000 passing yards, 139 touchdowns, and 106 interceptions in his entire career, with about slightly less than half of his passing yards coming from his time with the Texans. About a pretty 59-52, close to 50-50 touchdowns, interceptions, which is not ideal. But here we are. We look at his real life versus the franchise, and yeah, my franchise is the better franchise, or the better career for him. Other than rushing touchdowns, where he ran more in his real life, Sanchez will probably be a backup moving forward. He might get a chance to start, depending on how bad the quarterback situation is. I'm kind of at a quarterback bubble, where I have like Drew Brees and Peyton Manning, some really old quarterbacks close to retirement. They probably should retire. I have a lot of mediocre quarterbacks like Sanchez and Michael Vick, who's also an old man, who are starting, and really they could be, replaced by a better rookie like a Jared Goff or a Dak Prescott, even a Jacoby Brissett potentially. So we'll have to see how that pans out. Nathan Enderle, so he also got a start during Mark Sanchez's tenure as a starting quarterback. Enderle came in, I don't forget if it was like because of an injury or the last game of the season. So he won his one game, had 144 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and that's his career. And when you look at his real career versus his NFL career, or my Madden franchise career, even though he has 144 yards in my franchise, that's still better than his real life. And now we got Michael Vick. So Michael Vick was with the Falcons, went 15-29. That didn't work out. He ended up leaving them for the Cardinals, was there for 2 years before going to prison for 2 years. Yes, that was the prison graphic. Then he came back to Washington, had a pretty solid, and so instead of going to the Eagles, he went to Washington. And I did have free agents. I had a bidding process for him. So I actually had people bidding for his services, and he chose the Commanders. And there were a lot of teams he could have gone to. And then they got the Saints, where he went 3-7, and now he's with the Houston Texans. And actually right now they're on their way to the playoffs, or at least winning the division. There's still a lot that can happen that could screw that up, but he's actually doing pretty well with Houston. When we look at his Houston stats, he doesn't have any yet, but 27,000 yards. We compare that with his real stats, and just like a lot of these quarterbacks, he is having a better career in my franchise than he did in real life, and that's largely due to the fact that he was a very reliable starter, where I think he only did a couple years with Philadelphia before reverting to being a backup. I've tried to nerf him and like Donovan McNabb and some of these other older quarterbacks with their speed, because he really shouldn't be as fast as he is, so I knocked him like 10 points or something like that, but he is still super fast, and he is still top 5 quarterback rushing leader. It's Terrell Pryor so far this year. I think Michael Vick is 2nd or 3rd. But there you go, the Houston Texans quarterback history. They actually did a pretty good job not bouncing from quarterback to quarterback so much. I know it's not like the Cleveland Browns or the Raiders or the Jets in real life, where they're always in search of their quarterback and finding a way to screw it up, or Chicago. But they still had, a good number of starting quarterbacks. David Carr was their man for many years. They tried to move on with David Garrard as the bridge. Locker was supposed to be the man. Jackson, a bridge. Sanchez, a bridge. Enderle, just a backup getting a chance to start. And then Michael Vick, also a bridge. They're really trying to land their real quarterback. We'll see if they can trade up maybe for a Wentz or a Goff. They could fall into the trap of getting Paxton Lynch. So we'll have to see how that pans out. But yeah, thanks for watching the 32-team franchise update on the Houston Texans quarterback situation. Hope you enjoyed this video, and there are many more like this to come.